At London, I mean, this show was just fantastic. You know, I, as a kid, used to go to Olympia, London, and it absolutely was, you know, a dream of mine to be able to ride at that show. So I did that last year, and I think it probably was, up until that moment, like my favourite ever show. You know, it was all, last year it was just so new and incredible, and I didn't really have many expectations. And then, so I was still absolutely bricking it before I did it, because once I'd got my Grand Prix out of the way, I was okay. But this year, I was actually really nervous for a different reason, because I felt like I was coming with quite a lot more expectation.
Yeah, you've had quite a bit on your shoulders now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just pressure that we put on ourselves. And, you know, last year I came into the show knowing that I had a lovely horse, but I left the show last year knowing I had an amazing horse. You know, it was kind of the real turning point for us. So, you know, this year I'm coming to the show knowing I've got that amazing horse, and that makes me actually put a little bit more pressure on myself. But, you know, he was great yesterday, and we're just really looking forward to that freestyle tonight now.
I did want to ask you, actually, tell me a little bit about what was going through your head yesterday, coming down that centre line for the first time, and then when your score came through, because obviously it's a new PB.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, coming down the centre line at the end, I was like, God darn it, Becky, you really do need to learn to ride pirouettes properly. So I was quite annoyed with myself, because I felt like I can do a really good pirouette, and I overturned my left one, and I didn't have enough bend in my right one, which is like standard, and I know I can do things about that. And
I love the way you're so fuming with your winning
with myself. No, but you see, this, we could always be better. So, you know, that was actually what I was thinking about coming down at the end, instead of thinking about all the things that I was really pleased with. You know, with a little bit of time to reflect, I was really pleased, and super pleased with him, just annoyed with myself. But, you know, it was brilliant to get that PB, and yeah, he was a legend. I just need to keep getting better.
He was just amazing when he came in the arena. I absolutely adore him. But do you feel like that's kind of put a little bit more pressure on you for tonight? Because now people are like, oh my gosh.
No,
on top of that podium.
I know for an absolute fact that Lottie is well and truly gunning for me tonight.
That sounds minorly worrying.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, she's only little, isn't she? So
yeah, she can reach your kneecaps.
I'm sure that she'll beat me on Glammy, but she wouldn't beat me hand-to-hand combat. So we're good.
Is there going to be like a scrap this afternoon?
Potentially.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll make sure we're watching that.
Yeah, get her back on the stage.
Yeah, okay, right, then moving swiftly on. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, of course, Paris. Now, you are now an Olympian. Does that still feel a little bit surreal?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit crazy, isn't it?
I know, I mean, I'm going to call you it, even though you say you don't like being called it. Becky from Barnsley.
44.
Oh, okay, I'm
Favourite
sorry.
drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's for? Favourite drink?
That was my dad's favourite thing from the Olympics. Out of everything, he's here today. That was his favourite thing that came out of Paris. So yeah, I am 44 years old, and my favourite drink is a Jaeger bomb. One of those things is true, the other one is not.
Oh yeah, I knew you looked 20. So
Okay, thanks.
not a problem, it's all good. I mean, of course, how come you are not already sponsored by Jägermeister and or Red Bull?
Jaeger bombs Jägermeister's a work in progress. We'll see.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one. We will keep an eye on that one. And I feel like you should probably have stocks and shares in Jägermeister at this point, because haven't you been sent many a bottle?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but luckily it goes down quick when you have a party. So.
Ah, right, okay. I mean, I don't remember getting an invite to that party, but you know, it's
next
fine.
one, darling. The next one.
Next one. Okay. Has everyone?
It's only
got
because
that
I don't
down?
want to be all over TikTok.
I do regularly make you get.
She regularly makes me do TikToks.
Oh well, it's all good and fun. Anyway, back to Paris. So, I know you said that, I remember watching a podcast and you said you actually felt nauseous coming down that centre line. You certainly didn't look it. Like, how did you manage to compose yourself?
Outward calm, inner turmoil.
Ah, okay. Okay, so acting.
Yeah. No, you know, I think when it comes down to it, probably the worst bit, I mean, apart from there's a lot of hanging around. You know, I am used to being super, super busy all the time.
Lottie mentioned earlier that the dressage riders
We
had
had a lot of time. So, you know, we arrived on the Friday, trotted up on the Sunday. I did my Grand Prix on the Tuesday. I then didn't do the team test until the Saturday. So, you know, that's 3 days of being able to think about what might go wrong. But no, I think, you know, we had amazing teams around us. I was really lucky that quite a lot of my family were there, and the world-class team are amazing. So, you know, we were very well supported from that point of view. And I think, you know, once I'm on, I'm pretty good. You know, I'm on and I'm in the moment. And then for me, the worst bit is going from the warm-up to the main arena, which... And, you know, it sounds silly little things, but it was probably only a minute and a half's walk from one to the other, but there was a rope at the end that they took down to let you go into the arena. And, you know, it was really important to me that the timing was spot on, because I could not be held behind that rope, because if I had to stand still, he'd have got hotter. He was a bomb. So, you know, that's the kind of thing where they're brilliant, because they have guys that have worked out the time, how long it's going to take, exactly when we need to leave in terms of where the person is that's in the arena before me. So, you know, it's those little things, those little attentions to detail that got me into that arena at exactly the right time. And, you know, I think going around the edge, you're not thinking about the crowd. You are in that moment thinking about what's coming. But I think I put the fear of God into most people, because there's a stopwatch when the bell goes, so you've got 45 seconds. And I maybe entered the arena with 1 second on the clock.
You made me, I know you said you were nauseous, you made me nauseous. I was like, where's she going?
I knew exactly what I was doing, exactly. I knew I
trusted you.
I don't think anyone else did, really. But no, that's the kind of thing where, so he'd been really hot about the halts and not wanting to stand still. And I knew that I had to do a good canter, walk, canter. That really helps me get the transition. And I did one and was like, oh, that was too bubbly. So I did another one, which was why it ended up a little bit tight.
And I mean, you've described Diego as really quite chill, you know, pretty normal guy. But what do you think about Paris that made him quite so bombastic?
Yeah, do you know, it is a really interesting question, this, and I've been asked it quite a lot. And to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, literally from the first day that I rode him there, he was spicy. And, you know, that wouldn't be completely unusual, but within a couple of days, he'd be chilled, you know. And then I'd had that hotness. I had it for maybe 10 minutes when I was warming up in Compiègne, and a little bit in Rotterdam, but it was a short amount of it. And then he came back to me and was normal bomb again. But, you know, he was just so up for it. He was honestly just so excited. I think he was just having the time of his life. And, you know, you could see the grandstands from the warm-up, and I think he was just like, I'm going in there, I'm going in there, I'm going in there.
Was he feeling a little bit the same last night?
No.
London's old news to him now.
He was like, the crowd last night, it was small, but they were mighty. They were a great crowd last night, or yesterday morning, actually. It wasn't.
Yeah, actually. It feels like I've just not slept.
I know, I feel a little bit like that. But he is already quite excited about tonight. So I gave him a little stretch this morning, and I have to say, when I did a trot canter transition, we had a little... So I think it might be fun later.
So are you going to be attempting any calmers tonight? Because I remember you saying about Paris, you almost had stocks and shares in the calmers.
And you know, I actually am not a massive believer in calmers. I've not had a horse that they've made a huge impact. I think there are some that they do, and that's great, but I haven't used them very much. But when he was very spicy in Paris, it got to the day, I think maybe the Sunday night. So I'd already had a couple of days, and or no, maybe it was the Monday actually, and Andre, who was the team vet, was like, shall we give him something? He's German. And
that was an interesting German accent.
I need somebody else to do the German accent. And I was like, yes, just give him everything. Everything you legally can give him, everything. And he was like, acupuncture? Yes, definitely. So Bon was chilling around his stables with like acupuncture needles in his forehead. I don't think it made a blind bit of difference, but I think maybe the giving him the calmers or seeing Kim give him the calmers helped me.
Yeah. Placebo effect on you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
makes you calm down.
You know, I just had to feel like we were doing everything that we could to help get him into that arena in the place where we needed him to be.
And were you quite expecting, because you have become, and when I said that you were the woman of the hour, you've kind of been the woman of the year so far. Were you expecting quite the surge of love and support you've had, like ever since it was announced that you were heading to the Olympics?
No, and I mean, it really has just been incredible, and I am hugely grateful for the support that we had. I mean, I think largely it's just because you can't help but fall in love with Bob. So, I think he is the main, like...
Yeah, we all love Bob.
Exactly.
We're actually not that bothered about you.
I can go with that. It's not a problem.
But do you think it's a little bit of the fact that, you know, the Olympic three have been so strong for so long, and finally we've got, it's almost a bit like one of our own has broken?
Fresh blood. Yeah,
Fresh
an
blood.
underdog. Everyone loves an underdog.
And a ginger.
Thanks. I mean, it's fake.
Mine too, it's all good. It's all good. But do you find a lot of people are really relating to your story?
Yeah,
quite strongly?
I think, you know, the fact that he is homebred, and, you know, we have done everything together, and our journey has probably been a little bit in, you know, the public eye. And, you know, I'm very open about the fact that as a young horse, I always thought he was lovely. You know, he was a super character, super kind, very good, you know, trainability and things, but he wasn't naturally athletic. He didn't have a fantastic engine. He was a little bit on the lazy side.
I think you've described him as you almost thought he was a bit ordinary at times.
Yeah, he was lovely, but just a little bit plain. He didn't articulate his joints very well. But, you know, he has just got the heart of gold and incredible trainability, and he, you know, has enabled me to really develop him. And I think, you know, that gives people hope that you can get there.
We can get there. We can all do it.
Come on, guys.
We got this. And I do just want to ask you a little bit, I mean, I'm sure you've told the story a million times, but tell me a little bit about the story of Bomb. When you bred him, when you first realised, oh my gosh, this horse is actually, he is a world beater. Tell me a little bit about that.
So his mum was a mare called Dolly, and I bought her as a 7-year-old from the Equine Elite auction in Holland, a super green 7-year-old. She'd come from the breeder, hadn't really done anything, was kind of just backed, and that was about it at 7. And she was by Jazz, and she was your typical Jazz. She was a little bit tricky in the neck, and
The Jazz came through then at Paris.
at Paris, that was when it came out, yeah. But luckily his neck stayed good.
Very good.
So yeah, a little bit hot, a little bit spooky, but and I didn't really compete her very much because she wasn't a lower level horse. She was going to be a good Grand Prix horse. But then, you know, as sometimes happens with horses, just as I was about to start with her competing at Grand Prix, she damaged her back fetlock really quite badly, and it was pretty much the end of her competition, her ridden career. So she was a lovely mare though, and I made the decision to breed with her. That was the first, we'd bred one from a pony mare that we'd had a long time ago, but this was the first sort of, okay, we're going to try and breed a couple of horses and see what happens. So I had three foals from her, and the first one I still have. She is actually now also a brood mare. The second one was super cool but teeny weeny tiny, so we sold her. And then the third one was Bomb. And he was a little bit of an accident, but because we were going to, I wanted to use a stallion called Danone. It's an accident that he turned out how he did, shall I say. I wanted to use a stallion called Danone because I had a horse in training on the yard by Danone who I loved. I thought he was super talented, very trainable, and I'd worked with another one with a client, and you know, I just thought I like this bloodline. I think they have a lot of really good qualities. And so I wanted to use Danone, but he wasn't available. So I kind of looked at his kids and kind of went, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But no, Dante Voltino, I think, was 7 at the time and was just starting to look like a really lovely horse. So I went for him, and the result was Bomb. So, you know, if I'd used Danone, I wouldn't have had what I've got. So, yeah, he was actually born at Julie Lockie's, who was a very good supporter of mine at the time, and she did quite a lot of breeding. So we thought that she could have the, what do you call it, like...
I don't know, my brain's gone blank.
Like maternity ward duties.
Ah, yeah. I'm with you.
You with me?
Yeah, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I don't like that part of it, so someone else can do that bit. So he stayed with her for a little while.
I can totally tell you're someone's auntie. You're like, somebody else will deal with the squealing baby. I'll have it when it's older.
I have only changed one nappy in my entire life.
And you're proud of that.
I was so mentally scarred by that I haven't lost it since. So no, I have got better at the foaling bit though. But then he came back to live at ours full time when he was 3, and we backed him. And he did. I never did young horse classes with him to start with because he just wasn't that kind of a mover. He wasn't particularly impressive from a young. He didn't have that elasticity and looseness that you would want in a young horse. And he was reserve champion actually to his stablemate James Bond in the elementary at nationals as a 5-year-old. And he did I think maybe medium and things as a 6-year-old. And then at 7 he did the 7-year-old championships, and he actually, because he was a bit of a goody two shoes that had read all the books, he was already working at Prix St George at 7. And because he did just find it easy.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that I do have one claim to fame here. And I competed against you in Jägerbomb once. Did a medium together. Got absolutely thrashed. I remember because you were passaging in the warm-up. I was like, thanks, Becky.
Like I say, he found it quite easy. But no, it was the first time that I really thought, yeah, he's definitely going to be a Grand Prix horse, was in the prize giving for the 7-year-old class at the Nationals. And when he got a little bit excited in the prize giving, he just piaffed. And that was his answer to excitement, was piaff. And that's such a lovely feeling. Normally when they get a little bit excited, you're flying sideways or galloping forward.
You're on the floor.
But yeah, he just did a piaff for an 8.5. So I was like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Was there ever anything in training that he found quite hard? Because some horses find the collected work quite hard.
So he did not have a medium trot to start with. I did a little Q&A on Instagram a while ago when I was waiting at the port in Calais to get our paperwork done, and somebody asked if I had any video of him as a young horse, and the only thing that I could find was him doing the elementary regionals, actually the year that he then went on to do really well at nationals. And he did a lovely test, lovely frame, very nice contact, but the medium trots were bad.
They just weren't there.
Yeah, they just ran a little bit faster, and look at him now. But I think, at that point I definitely knew he was going to be a Grand Prix horse. But I thought he'd be just a nice national Grand Prix horse. And then it honestly was, I think, here last year that was the first time. It was a crazy one because we ended up going to Riesenbeck Europeans as the travelling reserve. I think all through that, I was a little bit, I think I did have a bit of imposter syndrome at that point, because I was like, this is a super horse, but this is our first year at Grand Prix. We really shouldn't be here at this point. And it was an incredible experience. And I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to do it, because it definitely helped prepare me for what then happened this year. But there was absolutely an element of like, this is crazy, we shouldn't be here. But then after this show...
A little bit like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. But then here, he did a nice Grand Prix, but I still, and he did actually PB in the Grand Prix here last year as well. But
you keep coming back, we're going to end up with you in the 90s.
But I knew there was so much more to come, and then when we came in for the freestyle, and he was just he was a different horse. Suddenly I had that energy and that go that I'd almost wanted, and it just got more and more as the test went on. So, it was 100% like this test last year that I was like, I have a top horse.
Just want to pick up a little bit on what you said there about, the imposter syndrome. How did you kind of get over that, or are you even over that already? Because imposter syndrome is something that quite a lot of people struggle with when it comes to competing in the arena. I think, for me, it was just a case of go away and get better, keep getting better, keep developing. But I think, when it comes down to it, if you are riding your horse and, you have got that horse trained to a point that it is able to do what you want it to do in that arena,
You should not feel that. We all do at times, but you know, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in your horse, and that's really important. I probably just learned to do that a little bit more.
So it's sometimes just a case of giving yourself a little shake, but no, we are good enough to be here.
Absolutely. I think, you know, and I've trained for well over 20 years with David Hunt, who has been, you know, not only a riding coach to me, but a life mentor as well.
Therapist.
A therapist, yeah. I mean, I say to people, like, my job is 50% teaching people to ride and 50% therapy. But, you know, David has been that to me. But one of the things that he has instilled in me, one of his biggest beliefs, is that you are better to do the wrong thing with confidence than the right thing with none. Because even if you are doing the right thing...
Sorry, I really like that.
Yeah, even if you are doing the right thing, if you don't believe it, it won't work. You know, if you don't say to your horse with confidence, if you don't explain with confidence what you are trying to say, they'll be like, I don't get it. What are you trying to say? I don't get it. Whereas, you know, if you say the wrong thing, you will work out it's the wrong thing. We all learn by doing stuff wrong and making mistakes. That is not... You know, you must never, ever be worried about making mistakes. And I think that is a really important thing for people to take on board, because it really, you know, it doesn't matter. You learn from it and you get better from it. And you have got to believe in what you're doing.
I love that you're, like, totally on board with what David's saying. But isn't it true that David made you cry the first time he taught you?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, so more than once then?
No, so David first came coaching at ours. It was actually, so it really will be about 22, 23 years ago. And at the time, my dad was the chairman of the Northern region. And there was a British Dressage had a system called the Pyramid Trainers Scheme, which was sort of about getting top trainers in to train your regional
Nothing
trainers.
to do with Avon's pyramid schemes.
No, unfortunately not. It was Hannah, my sister, and my dad that decided getting David in would be, you know, a good plan. And so David at that point was still riding a little bit. He had competed internationally up to Grand Prix. He trained many people. We knew him because he trained Andrew Gould, who I did Young Riders with and things for years and years. So, you know, we'd known him all the way through. And he came to ours to do a 2-day clinic. And I think right from the word go, Hannah loved him. She loved how logical he was, and he has a very clear system, and he's very systematic with what he does. But he's also very, very honest. Very honest.
Brutally so.
No, but you know, I think there's probably, like I say, I was maybe 22 at the time, 21, 22. And
that's only last year then.
only just a couple of years ago. And you know, he made me aware of things, or he said things to me that at that point I probably didn't really want to hear. He termed our canter, I think it became either a Northern canter or a Yorkshire canter, and that was
Why are they always attacking us?
It was decidedly 4-beat. So, you know, he'd be like, that's a Yorkshire canter again, that's a Northern canter, what are you doing? And he'd say to you, have you got your phone on you? And you'd be like, yeah. Will you just give us a ring when you get to the other side of your leg yield? And actually, I know that bit I could cope with, but it was the honesty that I struggled with to start with. But, you know, ultimately, it's that honesty that makes me respect him so much and respects what he says so much. And you know, it is, I think that honesty is just such an important part of it. I think we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be honest with each other. And you know, I think sometimes it does hurt, but ultimately it's going to make you better.
I feel like I'm getting so many life lessons out of this talk. Becky, you're so wise.
I'm so old, mate, that's why.
Well, okay, moving on. So there have been some hints about, because we all love the freestyle, Sex Bomb freestyle, but there have been some hints about perhaps a new music for tonight. Is this true?
This is very true.
Oh my gosh. What is it?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, you've got to tell me.
Absolutely not. I have kept.
Do we want to know, guys? A bit louder, Becky can't hear you. Do we want to know, guys? Becky, the people have spoken.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, she's so mean. Brilliant. Well, after yesterday, Just one last question before, we'll just see if we've got time for a couple audience questions. What is your action plan going into this evening? Aside from physically fighting Lottie Fry in the arena.
I don't know, what time are we on? Nearly 4 o'clock, so 5 o'clock, couple of Jaeger bombs.
Smash it.
No, not kidding.
I wanted to know if I was invited.
No, so I will plat him up. That is my thing. Like, I love platting him up, and it's a little bit my prep time. I am going to go and watch my new music on repeat a few times, because I've maybe only ridden it once or twice.
I love your preparation.
So yeah, I think, but I actually don't like to ride them through it that much. I do like, I much more like to watch it and get my timing bang on by watching it rather than doing it. So, you know, that's not good for the horse, whereas I need to get it in my head.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much, Becky.
No problem.
Now,